All right, good morning. Welcome to the Baltimore City House Delegation hearing. We'll call the meeting to order. Everyone should have received a copy of the minutes from the last delegation meeting. Is there anyone that did not receive that? Okay, I just want to know, is there a motion to adopt the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor of approving minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. I just wanted to, as a matter of housekeeping, just let folks know who are probably confused that we are having an earlier start time to delegation this week to accommodate some earlier work we'll be doing on the House floor. So just wanted to explain why there was a major adjustment in the time. There may be further adjustments during the remainder of the session due to some floor work. So just bear with us as we continue to notify you of those changes via our social media channels and our email list. At this time, we do have several bill hearings that we will be conducting today. A few of them are coming by request of the administration. Chairman Clippinger, would you be fine to maybe handle both of the alcohol or the alcohol bill first, since it should be fairly brief?
That would be fine. Madam Chair, could I ask that the delegation hear House Bill 572?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. House Bill 572 was heard by the Alcoholic Beverages Subcommittee several weeks ago. There were amendments to 572 that would allow for the creation of a restaurant license at 3700 Toon Street, which is near the Canton Crossing development. It also would allow for the continued sale of distilled products at Sagamore Rye in Port Covington. The amendments were approved by the subcommittee. And the subcommittee approved or recommended that the bill be approved by the delegation. I would move first the amendments to House Bill 572, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chairman Clippinger. I just wanted to note that Jeremy, I believe, forwarded that amendment by email. I just want to confirm that folks received that. Okay, great. Is there a motion on the amendment? On the amendment?
I move the amendments.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Ayes have it. On the bill itself?
I would make a motion on the bill as amended.
A second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Thank you very much.
I think you need a roll call.
So we need a roll call.
Yep. Jeremy's about to conduct that.
Delegate Amprey.
Yes.
Delegate Anderson.
Yes.
Delegate Attar.
Yes.
Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Delegate Schneider. Delegate Talmadge. Delegate Bridges.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger.
Yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
Delegate Haynes.
Yes.
Delegate Lewis. Delegate Lehman. Delegate McIntosh.
Aye.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Aye.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Chair Smith.
Yes, if you see my face with quizzical expressions, I'm trying to find the source of additional feedback and mute them. So if you're not speaking right now, please mute. Thank you so much. Were there any folks that you were unable to hear?
Yes, a couple. Delegate Lewis and Delegate Learman.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, maybe, Delegate Lewis may be having a tech issue, so we'll just move forward. We have, enough folks to conclude that that's been passed. Thank you.
Madam Chair, it appears that I'm the offender, so I'm going to try and be even faster with the second bill.
Okay.
I would call on the delegation to hear House Bill 868. This is a bill sponsored by our chair that would create a BD7 license in her district in the 45th Legislative District. It was reviewed by the subcommittee. It was moved favorable by the subcommittee for the consideration of the full delegation, and I move the bill.
Second.
No amendments. No amendments on this one.
Great, I think I heard a second. Yes. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Aye.
All right, roll call.
Three.
Yes.
Delegate Anderson.
Yes.
Delegate Attar.
Yes.
Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Delegate Chanel Branch.
Yes.
Delegate Talmadge Branch. Delegate Bridges.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger.
Yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
Delegate Haynes.
Yes.
Delegate Lewis. Delegate Learman.
Yes.
Delegate McIntosh.
Aye.
Delegate Rosenberg. Delegate Rosenberg, I think you're on mute.
Aye, thank you. Yes.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Chair Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And all your background glory. We still got
All
the
my
job
background
done.
glory.
So very appreciative.
To everyone's delight, I'm going to mute myself now.
Thank you very much. We're going to now continue with a series of bills that have been sponsored and offered at the request of the administration of Baltimore City. Is Vice Chair Haynes here? Is First Vice Haynes here?
Yes.
Okay, just for maybe efficiency's sake, I'll just get my bill out of the way and introduce House Bill 867, and then you'll be presiding over that.
Okay, Madam Chair, are you saying you want to do your bill first?
Yes,
To be just a little bit more efficient, can you put your bill to like 2 bills down?
I am so sorry, sir. I didn't capture the last part of your statement.
Yes, I'm requesting that you make your bill not the first one, but like the second bill.
Okay, that's not a problem. We can accommodate that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Delegate Wells, are you prepared to offer House Bill 941?
I am.
Okay, thank you. We'd love to hear that.
Great. So good morning, Madam Chair, members of the delegation. For the record, I am Delegate Melissa Wells. I'm here to speak on House Bill 941. House Bill 941, if passed, will allow Baltimore City to establish the maximum speed limit on a highway under its jurisdiction while using the complete streets model. Under the current system, when constituents have complaints regarding speeding on roadways, the city must conduct a lengthy traffic study before the city can take action to adjust the speed limit. Because of the structure, Baltimore City has an overwhelming number of complaints about speed limits, which in turn has created a backlog, which leads to unhappy constituents. HB 941 will allow Baltimore City to adjust the maximum speed limits based on the complete street manual, which engineers played a role in crafting. This legislation, along with the complete streets manual, will be finished before this legislation goes into effect and will be a large step towards turning Baltimore into Vision Zero city. With that, I would like to have my panel continue the discussion to go into more detail.
We're now here, the first witness for this bill.
Hello, this is Liam Davis with Baltimore City Department of Transportation. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the city delegation. I am here this morning to talk to you about the importance of advancing House Bill 941. Before we get started, I would like to take my time to thank Delegate Wells for introducing this bill. In a matter of months, the Baltimore City Department of Transportation is set to conclude a multi-year collaborative effort by formally publishing the city's first ever Complete Streets Manual. Major components of the city's Complete Streets Manual include the formalization of design standards for promoting safer streets, slower speeds, and increased walkability, as well as the establishment of street typologies for classifying city streets and standardizing roadway layout. The successful advancement of House Bill 941 is absolutely critical to the overall success of following through with the guidelines set forth by the city's soon-to-be published Complete Streets Manual. Rather than relying on lengthy, cumbersome, and costly individual engineering studies for reconsidering maximum speeds on city roads, the passage of House Bill 941 will allow Baltimore DOT to utilize our new manual to improve both safety and quality of life along the city's public right-of-way. Additionally, this measure falls in line with our efforts to establish Baltimore City as a Vision Zero city, setting a goal for zero traffic or pedestrian-related fatalities moving forward. For a city that has averaged 41 traffic fatalities for the years 2014 through 2018, it's an annual total. I cannot stress enough how beneficial this will be for the people of Baltimore. Similar measures have been passed by state governments and localities across the nation, including here in the Maryland General Assembly via the authorization for the Solomons Island area of Calvert County during last year's legislative session. And DOT has received word that Montgomery County is now also looking to implement similar measures and for the same purpose of improving public safety. For these collective reasons, the administration of Mayor Brandon Scott respectfully requests your support for House Bill 941. Thank you, and if anyone has any questions, I am available.
Thank you so much, Liam, for your testimony. Delegate Wells, is there any additional testimony for this bill?
Not at this time.
At this time, is there any testimony in opposition to this bill? All right, hearing none. I believe Delegate Anderson has raised for a question.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, everyone. Delegate Wells, thank you for the bill. When Delegate Wells, when you introduced the bill, you talked about, we talked about fatalities throughout, traffic fatalities throughout the bill. Does this bill include the possibility of additional speed cameras in places other than school areas?
I don't believe so. Liam, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, this legislation has nothing to do, there's no language in this bill about speed cameras. It's strictly giving the city the authority to set a maximum speed limit without requiring an engineering study. And the key here is we can use our manual now that was developed by engineers and experts rather than having to do an individual study for each corridor.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Are there any additional questions in case someone didn't have the chance to raise their hand virtually? Okay. Seeing that there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of discussion here, is there a motion to take a vote on this bill?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay? Roll call.
Delegate Ames.
Yes.
Delegate Anderson.
Yes.
Delegate Attorney.
Yes.
Man, I flew down the roads this morning.
Jeannie. Jeannie.
Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Mute.
Delegate Chanel Branch.
Yes.
Delegate Talmadge Branch. Delegate Bridges.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger.
Apparently, absolutely, yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
I just told Jeannie.
Delegate Haynes. Delegate Haynes. Delegate Lewis. Delegate Learman.
Yes.
Delegate McIntosh.
Aye.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Aye.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Chair Smith.
Aye.
The motion carries. If I got someone's vote wrong, please let me know in the chat or some other way.
Thank you so much. Considering that I think we may be having some challenges with the sound with Delegate Keith Haynes, I think it's appropriate to go to House Bill 967 with Delegate Bridges. You're on mute, Delegate Bridges.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Baltimore City Delegation. Thanks for the opportunity to bring House Bill 967 to you on behalf of the Baltimore City Administration. Again, for the record, I'm Delegate Tony Bridges. You have some written testimony in front of you from Baltimore City Police Department, as well as a one-pager that's been provided by the Mayor's office. And again, Liam Davis is on the line from Baltimore City Department of Transportation, and he can answer any technical questions that anybody may have on this bill. So this bill really focuses on the safety of drivers on I-83. It authorizes the city of Baltimore to install no more than 2 automated speed cameras on the interstate. So this bill has everything to do with safety. The purpose is not really to aggressively discipline drivers, but to effectively protect them. So we all take the drive on 83. We know it can be a major speedway. We know that almost no one drives at the speed limit on 83. In fact, this weekend, I rode on 83 and unfortunately saw a lot of debris on the roadway that I'm sure was from the latest crash on 83. So obviously speed is a major concern. So much so that Washington College actually did a crash analysis that was submitted to Baltimore City Police Department and the Maryland State Highway Administration that was conducted between 2015 and 2019. And in that time, there were more than 2,000 crashes that they noted on Interstate 83. 50 of those were either high injury or severe crashes. And just last year, in March, from March 5th through the 12th, there were cameras that were put up at 83 southbound at 41st Street through the times from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. and tracked over 350,000 cars. Of those, 42% exceeded the speed limit by 12 miles per hour, and 28% exceeded the speed limit by more than 15 miles per hour. If you want to know the car that went the highest speed, it was clocked at 173 miles per hour on Interstate 83. So keep that in mind. Also, keep in mind that Baltimore City is the only jurisdiction in the state that does not have the state maintain or patrol its roads, its highways. So there are no state troopers on 83. Last year in 2020, there were over 1,700 calls for service, taking our police off the streets to respond to these calls on Interstate 83. So having the cameras there reduces the speed and definitely will reduce accidents as well. So less speeding, less accidents. And the final thing that I wanted to bring up is revenue. I know we don't want to talk about funds when it comes to speed cameras and what they go to, but we have to. So if people don't speed, revenue won't be collected. However, if revenue is collected, the revenue will be allocated first to pay for the operation of the cameras, and then any additional revenue will be dedicated to roadway safety improvements on 83 until the year 2026. So there's a 5-year period where all the revenue either goes to the operation of the cameras or to roadway safety improvements on 83. After that 5-year period, the revenues will go towards roadway projects in Baltimore City. So again, this is about safety of drivers on 83 and changing the habits of those that want to use the speedway, the interstate as a speedway in the downtown or out of the city. So reducing speed reduces accidents. And so for those reasons, I ask that you support the city and give a favorable report to House Bill 967. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions, or if you have more technical questions, Liam Davis from Baltimore City Department of Transportation is on the line. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Bridges. We do have questions from 2 members of the delegation, beginning with Delegate Anderson, and then after that, Delegate McIntosh.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Chair and Delegate Bridges. Good to see you. Great bill. My question, I guess, might be kind of technical. These additional cameras, which would be at least 2, would they be put up by existing through existing city contracts with the camera people, or do we have to go and bid out a new contract, do you think?
I would turn that over to Liam, but let me just correct, it's only 2, not at least 2. There will only be 2 cameras that will be set up on the southbound and the northbound. But Liam, if you can answer that.
Yeah, it's a maximum of 2. That's something we could really get you a specific answer on, but I don't believe at this point in time we would need to bid it out again. There was a recent contract awarded through the Board of Estimates that authorized a number of new speed and red light cameras. So I think we would be fine within that. But I can just follow up with our AT division just to confirm for you, Delegate.
All right, and the money that we spend on speed cameras and red light cameras through contractors, what percentage of that goes to minority-owned businesses?
I will also follow up with that with you as well.
Okay. Do you think we have any minority-owned businesses doing this, or what?
I think that I don't want to speak out of turn here, but the city has laws on the books for participation in those areas. So I think that I need to go and get you the correct information. I don't want to assume anything. Okay. So I can commit to getting you that before close of business today.
Okay, and we get it. Could you send it to the chairman of the delegation? She's very well prepared to give it to all of us.
Yes.
Okay, thank
absolutely.
you.
Delegate McIntosh?
Question, actually, and it's probably for Chairman Clippinger. This is I 83, and I was just wondering, Delegate Attar and I had a bill in that made the policing of I 83, gave it to another agency other than city police. Was that included in the bill we overrode the veto on the floor?
I'm 90% sure that it was, Madam Chair, and but I will double check later today and make 100% sure. But I think that it enabled other state policing agencies to be able to provide assistance on I-83. So it wasn't limited to the state police.
Good, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Delegate Bridges?
Oh, could I ask a question?
Absolutely, Delegate Anderson.
Yeah, the other question, Delegate Bridges, I have is how many miles is it from on I-83 from downtown to Northern Parkway or the Baltimore City limit? Ballpark.
Yep, that is a great question again. I will turn that over to Liam. to answer that one.
I believe it's roughly 12 miles. I'm pulling up a report now. I believe it's around 12 miles of length.
All right, so we're talking about putting one camera northbound, one camera southbound for 12 miles of highway?
Well, it gives us authorization to have two operational, so they could be moved. They don't have to be static.
Oh,
So we could if we advertised, if our ATVS division advertised for the whole length of the highway, and then we posted signs through the whole length of the highway that says, here's the speed limit, photo enforced. You could conceivably, move them around.
okay. And your reason for asking for only two, you didn't think that more than two would go through, or what?
We asked for one last year, and that was a Senate bill, and it was tough. And last year we asked for two, and it was a drafting error. So just the fact that one was tough, we were like, look, we need at least northbound, southbound, but we don't want to bite more than we can chew. So
Okay.
we want to see how this goes. And obviously, the bill sponsor, Delegate Bridges, mentioned, where the extra revenue would go. That would be pumped back into the Interstate for public safety expenses the first 4.5-5 years of the bill. So we wanted to be very careful and specific that this had as a public safety focus, and it's specific right now, at least in the early stages, on Interstate 83 in the city.
And if I can add to that, Delegate Anderson, Washington College, when they did the study from 2015 to 2019, they actually created a heat map that showed where those accidents were occurring on 83. And so I'm assuming that also from that study, Liam would be able, or Baltimore City Department of Transportation will be able to sort of pinpoint where exactly those cameras should be able to go. And I would assume that also after people's patterns changed, they will be able to move those cameras to other areas just based on where accidents are occurring.
Okay.
I actually have a study before me. It's 6.7 miles in length. So then there's like northbound and southbound, you add it, it's just over 12 miles.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Is there any other additional testimony for this bill? I believe you said no. Any testimony in opposition to this bill? Any additional questions? I just want, in the interest of time, to just hear the next bill. I know that there's some questions that are folks are waiting on answers, including Delegate Anderson. So if Delegate Kings is ready, I'll introduce my bill.
Okay, Madam Chair, do you want me to go ahead and present? Okay, you have two that's up, 867, 860. We will now hear House Bill 867, sponsor Chair of the Baltimore City Delegation, Smith. Right ahead.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Good morning to the chair as well as the full members of the delegation. On behalf of the Mayor of Baltimore City, I introduce House Bill 867, which would extend the sunset of the Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiative Program Fund. The Bernie program, as it's commonly referred to, was established in 2013 to spur reinvestment in older communities that had an established and successful revitalization strategy. In 2016, the program was codified in law. In that same bill that created the Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiatives Program Fund, it required the governor to include $12 million in the annual budget for fiscal years 2018 through 2022 for neighborhoods and community organizations that worked in neighborhoods in Baltimore City and the inner Baltimore Beltway communities of Anne Arundel and Baltimore counties. These state funds significantly help leverage investments in a wide range of community projects, including rehabs, acquiring vacant or blighted properties, energy improvements, strategic demolition, mixed-use developments, open space, and infrastructure, just to name a few. As you will hear from panelists representing a variety of city agencies, the fund has been successful as a tool to increase economic competitiveness and livability in the Baltimore region. Unfortunately, the fund is set to sunset next year. House Bill HB 67 would ensure that our region can continue to build upon the success of this program and benefit from the fund for an additional 4 more years. I urge a favorable report, and now we'll turn it over to the Acting Commissioner of the Baltimore City Department of Housing, Alice Kennedy.
Good morning, Vice Chair, Madam Chair, and members of the City Delegation. I am going to share my screen and present some information this morning for you all. We're here this morning on behalf of the Mayor Scott's administration to present on House Bill 867, as Madam Chair mentioned, the Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Funds, otherwise known as Bernie. I will briefly touch again on the overview of the program. Grew out of the 23 Regional Revitalization Work Group and was codified in 2016 in terms of how strategic investment and with housing and businesses can lead to a healthy, sustainable communities and growing tax base within Baltimore City and the region. The organizations that are eligible to apply for Bernie funds are community development organizations and are considered a state sustainable community. Qualifications have to be in an area that is approved as a Bernie area with approved strategic neighborhood revitalization plan. That plan specifically identifies strategies and projects for funding requests. And it's also based on stakeholder participation and identification of priorities. Funds are requested on behalf of multiple projects and stakeholders, and additional examples of the projects are down payment assistance to attract home buyers, acquiring and rehabilitation of vacant or blighted properties, energy efficiency, workforce and employment development programs, and strategic demolition, to name a few. I do want to review for you some of the awardees for fiscal year 20, and we have these for you on a map, and we can also provide a copy of this presentation for members of the delegation and send that to be distributed after the presentation this morning. So here we have an overview of the Bernie funded areas, funded projects. We have overlaid this with the district, Maryland General Assembly districts for the city, as well as our Baltimore City impact investment areas, where we have a focus on leveraging investments from many different sources to have the greatest impact that we can in community revitalization. Funding levels over time. This provides an overview since 2015 in terms of the funding levels, a total amount of funding, capital and operating, total number of applicants, the amount requested, and the amount of projects funded. As you can see, the number of projects requested has grown significantly since 2015, with a total of 55 projects that were funded in fiscal year 20. The impact over the course of time, we've had a total of 212 awards within the city of Baltimore, over $34 million awarded, with a total project investment of over $230 million in leverage funds and total project investment across the city. The one component for Bernie is that in 2019, Baltimore City released its community development framework focusing on resources and capacity, promoting access and equity, and investing in all neighborhoods with a focus on our impact investment areas. And this was built out of and with Bernie in mind in terms of how to leverage investment and targeted investment in areas where there is strength and build off that strength and be able to leverage funds not only from state and federal sources, but also other local and nonprofit and foundation sources as well. So this is an overlay of our impact investment areas across the city, East Side, West Side, Park Heights, and the Southwest impact investment area. We've also been leveraging the Bernie investment within the city of Baltimore with our Community Catalyst Grant program, which is also kind of modeled off of Bernie on a local level. And we leverage this with other Bernie awards as well. So we've had capital and operating. We are in our second round, currently reviewing applications. And this gives an example of some of the organizations that were awarded in the last round. There is a focus with the Community Catalyst grants on emerging organizations and supporting organizations that historically have been overlooked or have not been able to receive support through grant programs from the city or the state. And there is leverage here as well with the Bernie program. Our key within the city and working with our partners that do the work in Baltimore City and apply to Bernie for their projects, as well as to the city Baltimore Department of Housing and Community Development, has a focus on promoting access and equity across the city and ensuring that we have equitable community development to achieve economically stable, thriving, and mixed income communities throughout the city of Baltimore. I thank you for your time this morning, and on behalf of the, we'll just stop sharing the screen now. On behalf of the city of Baltimore and the Mayor Scott's administration, ask that you consider a favorable report for House Bill 867 and provide support for that bill. The funds that come through Bernie are critical to achieving our community development goals and housing and revitalization goals for the city of Baltimore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Kennedy. Madam Chair, do you have any other panelists that you will
Yes,
call
Mr.
in support?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Director Chris Ryer.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the city delegation. As you may know, I was an early pilot of this program, and I cannot speak more highly of it. It is one of the most constructive programs the state has ever done in the city. Just to echo some of the numbers the commissioner recited, just since you all codified this in 2016, in 4 years, 150 projects have been funded and $25 million distributed across many, many neighborhoods in Baltimore City. I did bring with me today a spreadsheet of all those projects since 2016 by neighborhood. So if anyone has a specific question, I can respond to that. But this program, while it's unfortunate that the governor has frozen the operating funds for this program, what you have done by legislating a $12 million commitment allows community development corporations all over the city to plan. You can plan ahead, and you can make long-term investments in all kinds of projects in their neighborhoods. As many of you know, in the organization I worked with, we used it to support numerous other organizations. So projects in Southeast Baltimore, the CDC, Banner Neighborhood Community Corporation, Casa de Maryland, the Creative Alliance, all benefited from this program over the years. So I cannot speak more highly of this program.
Madam Chair, do you have any other panelists that you want to call?
No, that's all of the
Okay.
approved panelists that I have.
Okay. Are there any witnesses that have signed up to testify in favor of House Bill 867? Ms. York, do you have anyone?
No, Vice Chair. Everyone who is signed up to speak has already spoken.
Okay. Are there any questions from the members of the city delegation for or any of the panelists?
Mr. Chair, I have a question.
That seems to be Delegate Lewis. Is that correct?
Yes, and I'm just
Go right
afraid to
ahead.
turn on the video because the whole thing will crash. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. I'm curious, thank you for the presentation. I'm curious about the geographic distribution of neighborhoods that have benefited from Bernie. And Mr. Ryer, you mentioned that you had a spreadsheet. I'm curious to know if you can tell us whether any Bernie funds have been made available in what I'll just refer to as South Baltimore, anything below the Hanover Street Bridge? Yeah.
The commissioner has a map of this year's awardees by
Okay.
legislative district. I can tell you, I'll give some examples. For example, there are 3 projects in 2017 in the Brooklyn community. There were 2 projects in fiscal year 18 in the Brooklyn community. There were 3 projects in the fiscal year 19 in the Brooklyn community, and there were 6 projects in the Brooklyn community in the fiscal year 2020.
That's helpful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Delegate Lewis. Are there any further questions from the members of the Baltimore City Delegation?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I have a question.
Delegate Bridges.
Yep, it's just more of a request. I heard Director Ryer given the information from a spreadsheet. Is it possible that you could just send that information, send the spreadsheet to the chair, so that she can send it to the members of the delegation? And the same thing for Director Kennedy, if the presentation that you did today, if you can share that with members as well, I think that would be really helpful.
Delegate Bridges, the PowerPoint is included in the packet, on the Google Drive, of all of the witness testimony.
Yep, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Are there any further questions? Okay. On House Bill 867, Madam Chair, do you have a pleasure at this time?
I guess I'm trying to get a sense if people feel like they have questions that need to be answered before they feel comfortable moving forward.
I move favorable on the bill.
Okay.
I have a second. Excuse me. Have a second. Jeremy, would you call the roll?
Delegate Amprey.
Yes.
Delegate Anderson.
Aye.
Delegate Attar.
Yes.
Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Delegate Chanel Branch.
Yes.
Delegate Talmadge Branch. Delegate Bridges.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger.
Yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
Delegate Haynes.
Yes.
Delegate Lewis.
Yes.
Delegate Learman.
Yes. Yes.
Delegate.
Yes, and Chris and Alice, keep doing your great work.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Yes.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Chair Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, that concludes the hearing and voting on House Bill 867. It passed with a favorable. Chair Smith, do you want me to call 868?
Oh, that was handled to Chairman Clippinger.
Okay, all right.
Alcohol bill. Yep, we're
Okay.
good to go on that. Thank you so much, Mr. Vice Chair. I just wanted to go back. I just wanted to make sure we had enough time before anyone had to depart to hear all of our bill. With that being said, I wanted to go back to Delegate Bridges' bill, House Bill 967. We didn't have an opportunity to discuss, particularly Delegate Anderson. I wanted to know if you still needed to have maybe those questions answered before you felt comfortable holding a voting session on that bill. I believe you had questions about minority ownership and perhaps for Liam.
I mean,
Okay.
it's important though that the administration or the delegation lets the administration know we're still interested in minority business owners. We would like to know.
Absolutely. We want to make sure you get that information. Okay, so that sounds great. Is there a motion to move House Bill 967?
So
Madam Chair?
moved.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Delegate Haynes.
I don't want to hold the voting up. I just want to add to something that Delegate Anderson said before we vote. I think last week we had a bill dealing with cameras. I think it was Delegate Lewis's bill as well. And what I would just recommend in whatever correspondence that we're going to convey to the administration as it relates to minority participation in this bill, that it is comprehensive for all of this type of technical stuff that we're doing in the city and not just 83. That's what I just wanted to add.
Delegate Haynes, that's well. I think that's something that, like, to your point, instead of in a piecemeal fashion, I think that we do need to craft a message of kind of a broad interest in this, all related types of legislation. So I want to thank you for bringing that up and raising that point, and look forward to working with you on that.
That's fine. Yeah.
And Madam Chair, more
Yes,
than just
Delegate Anderson.
more than just a broad interest, I think I'd like to piggyback on to what Delegate Haynes is talking about, and that is get a specific number or percentage of minority businesses currently involved in putting up the speed cameras and the red light cameras, and then what the projection is for the future for the bus lane cameras as well as 83 cameras.
We will get that for you and for us. Thank you, Delegate Anderson and Delegate Haynes, for your leadership. Appreciate it.
We're good.
We had a move favorable. I believe I heard a second. And I think we were about to proceed with the roll call, I believe.
Delegate Anderson.
Aye.
Sorry, Delegate.
Me, yes.
Delegate Attar.
Yes.
Delegate Boyce.
Yes.
Delegate Chanel Branch.
Yes.
Delegate Talmadge Branch. Delegate Bridges.
Yes.
Delegate Clippinger.
Yes.
Delegate Conaway.
Yes.
Delegate Haynes.
Yes.
Delegate Lewis.
Yes.
Delegate Learman.
Yes.
Delegate McIntosh.
Yes.
Delegate Rosenberg.
Yes.
Delegate Wells.
Yes.
Chair Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. So that is the conclusion of our bill hearings and attendant voting session for those bills. So we actually at this point only have report outs from our subcommittee chairs. I know we've already heard a bit from Chairman Clippinger of the Alcohol Subcommittee, but I know we may have a little bit of housekeeping, maybe some things. So if you want to look that up.
We're looking again to make sure that there are no other alcohol bills out there. I believe Delegate Ampry has one that's still out there, but until I want to make sure that there's nothing else out there before we set set another meeting. I don't want to be dilatory for Delegate Ampre's bill. I just want to make sure that we can catch everything, do it right, and go from there. But I'll be in contact with Delegate Ampre to talk about his bill. So we have.
And we'll have delegation staff work with the Delegate Clippinger around like a dead drop date for getting on that type of agenda, and we'll communicate that out. So thank you.
That's fine.
Chairman Brooke Learman of the Education Subcommittee.
Just unmuting. Thank you. The Education Subcommittee, we will have a meeting next week, and we will be inviting other members to join us as well. It's Tuesday at 5 p.m., but more information will be forthcoming. So just keep an eye on your inboxes. We will have some presentations and information from a few different folks about the state of education funding. So thank you.
Thank you, Delegate Learman. And our last subcommittee, Public Safety, Chairman Wells.
Thank you. I have no updates. Thank you.
No problem. So we're at the announcements phase of the agenda. I just wanted to note again that because we're going to be, excuse me, we're going to be starting, I believe, the floor at 9 a.m. on Friday of next week. We're going to be scrambling to find some additional times because we actually have quite a few additional bills that need our letter from the delegation. So please pay attention to not only your emails, but you may get some real loving text communications about things that need to be scheduled over the next couple of weeks. So I just want to beg in advance for your patience and flexibility. We're all in a whole new Zoom world and WebEx world. So we just appreciate all of your patience and all of your hard work. Are there any announcements for the good of the order from any member of the delegation? Okay, great work, guys. Under an hour.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to conclude the meeting?
So moved.
Moved.
Second? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
All right.